The Forever Alone Filmmaking Podcast is brought to you by no one, because nobody gives a fuck if you make your films or not. That's why you've got to go out and make them on your own, pimp.
Hello and welcome to episode unknown number of the Forever Alone Filmmaking Podcast. Sorry it took us a month to make a new one, but things have been changing behind the scenes. We're busy with projects. James is out shooting beheaded little people, jizzing cheese whiz all over people's faces. We don't know. So we're back with a new episode, and Jimmy Screamer Claus and James are here with us.
It's the old band back together again.
Who are you people?
Come on, James. So, since the last show, I've just been still working on the new movie, I Am Nightmare. Jimmy, what have you been doing?
I've been working on my movie, too, and a music video for Grim the Rapist.
Oh, Grim the Rapist.
A horrorcore rapper.
Wow, you have to tell us about that. And our old pal who started this podcast with us, who's the prodigal son of this podcast, who has come back to us after all this time, Mr. James. James, what have you been up to?
I've been working on a video project that's kind of in the works. Can't put the title out there just yet, but it involves a lot of gore. It involves a burlesque dancer, a porn actress, and a competitive eater. It's amazing.
Okay, so what, if you want to tell us anything about it, what have you learned from this? So it's a live action. It's all live action?
Yeah, well, my part of it is it's all live action. I still get to play with compositing and editing, but it's mostly in-camera kind of picture thing. And I've been doing it with Doug Sackman, who was a line producer for the Trauma, and now has his own company, Backseat Conceptions. He worked on a lot of cool stuff, including the Repenetrator and the Triple Exorcist.
Repenetrator, is that like the Reanimator?
Yeah, he made a porn version.
It's the porn version.
Oh, okay. So,
and then the Triple Exorcist is certainly a G-rated version of The Exorcist. You see?
No.
But no, I've been working with Doug Sackman, and I'm putting this together. I got a bunch of cool people involved with in the project, including a bunch of people that are in Trauma's latest movie, Return to Nukem High. Which is a Class of Nukem High sequel.
So you've been out there networking, rubbing pans and palms and stuff.
I'm still the Forever Alone filmmaker, because none of these people can understand what's going on and under the hood here.
They can't.
No, it
can't figure you out, man.
So you're saying over time you're going to end up cold and alone and listless and penniless and have to come back to making cartoons with computers like me and Jimmy.
Well, no. I'm saying even though I'm working with live action people, I mean
biological people.
Oh, okay. It's still very much a very isolating experience.
As long as you're isolated, I'm happy.
Well, it's very hard to working with actors is at least for me, very hands off. All you do is kind of make sure you have someone who understands the part. They do their bit, and then you just kind of adjust their direction, adjust their performance slightly. You can't really. Well, you can go, you say this word this way, and then you punch that guy in this way, doing an uppercut, down, left, right.
Let me ask you this, James, because I know you come from a programming background, and I know. And a lot of newer, big budget films like the Godzilla done by Peter Jackson and the Transformers, they talk about that the humans they used were just really data sources rather than actors that interacted. How do you see actors coming from that programming background and having done animation before? Do you see them as an integral part of this collaboration, or they're just doing your thing that you need them to do to,
I see actors like a certain configuration in the game of life. Yeah, have you ever played the Game of Life? I think it was called something else on old Windows machines.
No.
It was a stupid little game where you had a grid, and you could place two different kind of particles on the grid, and you could draw whatever design you wanted on this grid, and then you would hit play, and those particles had a very they have a very predictable way of moving, but all together they kind of create this chaos. But if you put those patterns, if you put certain patterns down from the get-go, it's always going to turn out into the same chaos. Now, what people did with the Game of Life is they made like little gliders that animated, and in order to adjust the animation slightly, there was just a little dot put here, a little dot put there, and it kind of changed it so dramatically. So I think actors as the end result of just like their whole experience plus your direction. So I think they're very unpredictable and add so much to a project that you really you kind of sell yourself short for if you don't have actors on your project, if you just strictly animate and maybe like do robot voices or shit. So I think they're a wonderful tool, but they're not I can't a figure in an animatic is a very poor substitute for an actor.
So are they kind of like procedural noise?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so they add some kind of like variation or complexity to the project, which we wouldn't have been able to come up with our own, so we apply them like procedural noise.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, all we do is add the the additional bit to the algorithm to make that procedural noise into something closer to
bigger, smaller.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, what were the reasons? I know, you dabble with animation. The projects you shared on the podcast were mainly animated, like the stuff for The Binding of Isaac. So what made you on this project decide to do live action rather than any form of animation?
Well, for the type of project it kind of demanded live actors on, recorded on a real camera. But it's the kind of project I would want to get into because I think that unpredictedness from actors and from additional crew members and actual process of you have, only half a day to film and you got to churn out whatever. And it's the unpredictedness of, having an actual production is what kind of turned me on to it, and it certainly would turn out a better end result than any of my animations. I love animating, but I think whatever I do is going to be better with actual people and in the actual set.
Yeah, and I think, having done a fair bit of live action myself, that it makes you better at everything else, because when you have to work on the schedules of other people and you see that things can go wrong when you do not have control, then if you ever come back to animation, you totally cherish it and appreciate for what it is. And I think it makes you a better filmmaker, having to deal with all those personalities and variables.
Well, actually, dabbling in animation was a very good asset that I brought onto the project, because most of direction is what you would do to a model, like in animation. Like, your direction really it shouldn't go too beneath the surface, at least to the actor. So it's more like you have to get this blocking, which you do in animation. Swing your arm this way, do this kind of timing, say it then. Like, for me, it didn't go too far deeper than that.
Yeah, because I guess I've always had this idea that, having done a little bit of live action myself, doing a live action feature and all that stuff, that I thought if you have a good crew, you could fake. You don't have to know anything to, like, direct a live action movie. You can just bullshit your way through it. But obviously animation, you really need to know the shit or it won't happen. So maybe because I don't know if you've ever seen that Steven Spielberg quote from like the 70s or some video where he said all filmmakers should be animators first, because you learn like, pre-production and like all these different things that are essential for live action too.
Oh, absolutely.
Did that help you?
Yeah, that's what I was saying is what I did in animation was it prepared me just because of, how I usually would put together, an animation, like what kind of preparation needs to go into making something work, and when it comes down to the wire, what kind of troubleshooting is actually going to get it done on time.
So how did your shoots go? How did you plan them out? Did you storyboard them? How did it go?
I did minimal storyboarding, mostly because of the way that we were shooting required very little setup. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was just a couple setups as opposed to a setup every time you need to adjust the frame or make it do another shot.
Yeah.
Most of it was actually audition people over Skype. I did.
How'd you do that?
It was video Skype, my friend.
So where did you cast? Like, you put out a casting call? How'd you do that?
Well, this is where Doug Sackman kind of stepped in. I came to him to kind of be a producer on the project, mostly because being the forever alone filmmaker, I have very few contacts.
Yeah, same. We know that feeling, yeah.
And thankfully, he was so into the project. I came to him first to do special effects. But since I found out that he had his production company and such, and since he offered to help on the project, he kind of lined up all the actors I would need, kind of gave them my Skype name. We figured out a schedule and where they would call, and I would just kind of talk with them.
And what was the ratio with the number of actors you auditioned versus the ones that you chose?
I would say it's a good 3 or 2 to 1.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't that bad because most of the people were kind of pulled from Doug Sackman's contacts.
Some kind of performers or something.
Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of people who were needed very little coaching in how to actually act. People that were more suited to a really screwed up project like mine. Since my project involved how many? I think we shot 30 deaths? Yes, 30 deaths.
How many days did you shoot for?
5.
And how much, I guess, final footage or stuff will there be from those 5 days that will be in your final project?
I would say probably close to, I want to say maybe 300 minutes.
Okay, so when you...
So it's not, what I'm working on is not a feature, like a typical feature film, so it requires a lot more footage, and hence the 300 minutes worth of footage that is, you could watch.
Yeah, okay, so let's help some other people, because you just shot this. So let's say there's somebody that has a script, and they're going to shoot their first ever live-action shoot. How do you go through taking your script or whatever planning you had for it, and then setting up each day's worth of shooting? How do you do that? What did you do?
Well, I had to break down the script by locations, the actors involved, the props involved.
So you're categorizing it?
Yes.
Okay.
So that way I have a good idea of what is necessary for when we're shooting, how much there needs to be corralled in order for something to actually be shot. So in some of these cases, we just needed an actor and an additional camera assistant to set up lights, and me, and just have the equipment right there. And in other cases, we actually had to have several actors. We had to have a lot of setup with special effects. So it's really the best way I could say this is think of a time that is reasonable for doing all this, like how long it takes to do a certain task.
And how do you come up with the reasonable time?
Well, let's say you have a script that you believe is going to be a minute. A page of the script is going to take a minute screen time.
Yeah.
And figure out how many of these, how much of the time goes into a shot in a day. It is scene done in a day. So let's say you have a page that you wanted to film, and typically you would hear, a shot would take maybe 3 takes, maybe some more to get under control. So you think about how much time you take to actually shoot the thing. Mm-hmm. So you have a page that's a minute. I'm going to have to shoot this at least 3 times to do takes. That's 3 minutes. Then you have to think of prep time, which is, okay, well, now it's going to take hours for people to actually show up, because you have to actually factor that in. If you have a call-in time of 9 o'clock, You have to kind of figure in might be rolling by 10 o'clock or 11.
So yeah, what are the invisible things that ate up a lot of time in your shoots that you didn't know about before, you didn't really plan for, that you would tell someone else or warn someone else of?
Oh, it's mostly waiting for people to show up on the right time, to be honest. And also, you have to figure how long it takes until you're going to crack. There's a lot of times where I had to, stop shooting, take breaks in order for us to kind of, air out the set so it wasn't hot anymore, to make sure that everyone was cool and level-headed. Otherwise everyone's going to be so drained that there's no performance and everyone's going to be screwing up at their job. And
then you just waste time and waste everybody's money and time and everything, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the way I figured it is, it's... you could probably get a page of a script shot in a day if you're not doing anything that involves more than 5 people and it involves special effects. Because special effects, while it was maybe like 1/10 of the actual project, it ate up about half the time.
For the setup, to set them up?
Yeah. And shooting them, and if you screwed up, how much you have to reset up.
And clean things up. And
and then actually just blocking alone for a special effects shot takes a very long time, because you have to have everyone be on the same page and kind of be able to get it in the first shot or the second shot without wasting so much time.
And did you decide to shoot it with? Digital SLRs, some kind of video camera, or what'd you do?
Oh, we did digital SLRs. Thankfully, everyone had a digital SLR, because a lot of them either overheated or had some kind of thing that made them not a viable option for all of them. Like, for example, I have a Pentax K01. And one thing I didn't realize is it doesn't have live monitoring. So if you plug it into a monitor, it will go into a gallery mode.
So you can't get a live feed out of it.
Exactly. The only feed you're getting is from that view. And then there's other people who, had a camera that would just accept, an SD card that has a very little storage. Or we had cameras where batteries just ate up energy. So, you gotta you gotta overcompensate for your equipment.
So how long does it take for those things to overheat?
Well, we had the Canon. Help me out here.
60D, 70, 450i, T4i, T3i, T2i.
I think they were like T3Is or whatever.
Okay.
And they overheat. They start overheating like maybe every 4 takes.
Really? I mean, how long? Like, how many minutes does it take?
I would say if you have it on for, and I'm not saying recording, just on. I would say it could 20 minutes, 30 minutes of it being on, it's going to start overheat.
Really? And then what? You have to wait and let it cool down?
Yeah.
How long does that take?
Maybe like 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I haven't used one yet, but I was thinking they have like shorter loads, right? You can only record like so much time.
I didn't run into that
at
all with the model that I was working on, and we were definitely doing long takes.
So it was just the overheating.
Yeah, it was. I wish I knew the model off the top of my head.
What'd you do about the focus? Because I've read that, those things it's like a film camera. You have to be really particular about the focus, because there's no autofocus and shit like a video camera.
Well, there's, it depends on the kind of lens that you have. If you have an automatic lens, the camera itself can do the focusing. So you can kind of set it to an autofocus and then kind of set it to a manual so it won't change.
Oh, okay.
But in the most case with these, all the DSLRs had like some kind of mode that helped you with focusing. Like, for example, on the Canon, you can set it to a mode where it zooms into the picture, so you have an idea of how sharp you're getting your edges. And for example, my camera has it gives you a zebra stripe for what it believes is in focus and what's the sharpest parts of the image.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can actually get it in focus using this like zebra edge.
And the only thing I remember zebras being used for was for overexposing stuff in video.
Yeah, they're using it for a lot more now.
So did you have a good experience with using a digital SLR?
Yeah, most definitely. I would. Next time, I'll do more, research into what the capabilities of these cameras are. Like, for example, having an active monitor. But like, I would say, considering how cheap they are, and how easy they are to use, I would say I would probably always film on a DSLR.
Yeah, and the quality of the images that you get out of them.
Like the reds seem like too chunky. Like they're not as chunky as camcorders used to be, but like having a red just looks too old school, and having it being so bulky is so like.
I don't like the quality of the images either.
No. I think just grabbing just a small DSLR and being able to get the lenses that you want on that SLR without some kind of like absurd like contraption. Because like I've seen so many of those cameras that have like contraptions to make sure you get this depth of field that looks like awesome, and you would roll over.
Yeah, I think too is that like the gear whore phenomenon really went bonkers with the digital SLR stuff, where there's so much fucking gear and so many things you don't really need, and it's for all these people I don't think are actually shooting fucking movies with. They're just like making demo reels and putting them up on Vimeo, and you don't
like grabbing a DSLR, a bunch of lenses, you're going to have a better picture than movies that made it to theaters in the 70s.
Yeah,
most definitely. Like if you look at some stuff like that was shot on 16 millimeter, everything looks flat, everything looks uninteresting, nothing has like too much detail. Grab a DSLR and have your wide lens, you have your tele lens, and then you have just a normal in between lens.
See, and I guess that's super exciting to me that we have access to that, and I guess that's what pissed me off about this whole gear hoard thing is people are like, well, no, see, that's not good enough because of the this and that, and they're trying to add all this other shit on, like you need to spend another $20,000 in gear, and I'm like, dude, you fucking idiots, like, it's awesome what we have, just go make good fucking movies.
Well, it's kind of like in the music scene where you have like someone with all their gear to control their fucking MIDI controllers on a computer. And so most of it they don't use, and then they have VSTs and plugins for all everything like effect that they would want, or every synth that they would want. Like most people aren't going to be using all that.
Yeah, and you forget it's like, dude, it's about the melodies. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like fucking Pocket Calculator by Kraftwerk was done on like these little dinky, like almost Mellotron things. Monotron things. Yeah,
and I think that's what a lot of people... I don't forget it. I mean, I know a lot of the movies you like, James. I like a lot of the same ones from the 80s and these weird things. And it's like, hey, we can make something that looks better than that. Like, you could film your own fucking epic whatever, like these movies that we liked, really cheap. And that's why, I guess, I don't know, I have a thing against all these gear whores, because it's like, there's people out there that have ideas for movies and shit, and they can go make them, but if they listen to these dudes, it's like, well, no, you can't, because you got to get this rig and that thing and this and that, and it's like, bullshit, just go do it.
Well, you just look at a lot of the movies that are out today. We have a shit ton of documentaries, we have a shit ton of these fake found footage documentaries, And do they look the best? In most cases, no. And when they do, then they look really shitty because nothing should look like that.
Yeah.
Like, I just recently watched VHS, and that was done on, some of the segments, they would cut away from, like, digitally altered, or low-grade footage to a high-def, resolution, but there was no need for that. That kind of movie was really awesome. And you could do that with, the VHS that, your grandma owns, or your cell phone, or, your tablets now. You know, I just recently got a tablet that allows you to record video, and not only that, it comes with software for you to edit that video. So right there, you got yourself, you know, all the equipment that you would need other than lights.
So using these digital SLRs that were pretty cheap and like look really fucking awesome, and being able, you know, there's software you can use to edit it and do all this different post stuff to it. So what do you think for your experience in this live action project? What is the limiting factor? Is it the equipment? Is it you? Is it the actors? Is it what? What is the limiting factor?
I would say the limiting factor is you because, like I said before, whenever you're dealing with actors or crew, you're putting, and you said it yourself, they're at a certain point they're doing their own thing. So if you have a bigger production, you're just handing that much more your creative freedom out the door. You know? Yeah. So I think the limiting factor is you, like how much you can retain control while something is, you know, being made.
Before you shot this thing, what did you think the limiting factor was? What were you worried about?
I was worried more about money. How much money it would take for a production.
I mean, that's a limiting factor too, right? And people don't own any gear.
It's a limiting factor, but it's not as much as you would think so. Like, for the most of what's exciting on the camera is cheap. Like, people. And, you know, locations. You know, props, for the most part, are cheap as long as you're not doing some kind of sci-fi shit. But, like, you could always find a way around the effects. You can't really find a way to, you know, establish, you know, a vision across hundreds of people or even dozens of people. So before you shot it, you were just worried about having enough money to pay everybody. Yeah.
And do what you needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you started shooting, I mean, other than the overheating, it was just, hey, what can I do with these people?
It was making sure that I was excited and was able to convey what I needed to the crew and to the cast and not lose it. Because, like, it's very easy with that kind of down tempo on the set to kind of, you know, zonk out. Maybe, you know, leave it a little too much into the actor's hands or your crew's hands. And at that point, they're doing their own production. They're not doing yours.
So you have to make sure you never let go of those reins.
Yeah, you gotta hold on. You don't need to hold on very tight, but you need to still hold on.
Because you don't want to be like an asshole, right? Too.
Well, it's not just being an asshole. Like, the more you try to convey, the more you complicate it, the more people are going to be confused. So they're going to start doing their own thing, but like a stilted version that they think you want. Like at that point, when people are trying to think about what you want, then stuff just looks horrible. You want people to know exactly what you're saying.
So in directing, because this is something I found, sometimes I feel like I have something to say. Like, I know there's something I want to say to the actor, but I don't know what it is, so I just say nothing. That's what you're saying, right? Rather than saying more stuff that confuses them and then they'll go do something else.
Mm-hmm. Well, really, you could just tell them very little to make great change happen. And so if you're having problems with a scene, sometimes it's just easier to say, well, won't we try to make this funny instead of trying to make this serious? Or won't we try to convey this instead of that? What if we just change the take completely? One of the characters that we had, what I wrote did not work. And I threw it out, and me and the actress and the crew just started kind of riffing. So it was more like I was writing it on the fly to see what worked. And once I found out what was working, then, you know, the production started rolling along, you know, seamlessly. So you should say something, but once you get into the nitty gritty of like micro managing your actor or your crew,
mm-hmm.
they are going to start thinking more about and being more aware of what you want. And when that happens, it's very apparent on camera, or it's very apparent over audio.
Okay. So, overall, it was a positive experience. You were happy with it, and you're stoked you want to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. I would like to get into a production as soon as possible. And, I can't wait until the finished product comes out there, which will hopefully be in a few months.
So yeah, where are you at with it now? What are you doing with it?
I'm editing right now. There still needs needs to be a lot of work done. That's not in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Since this is a more odd project. And once it actually gets done, then we can actually put it out there. And we're thinking that'll be summertime.
Oh, okay.
I don't know though, because once you actually have to hand up your project, it's out of your hands. You really can't predict how it's going to turn out.
Yep.
Yeah, but thankfully, thankfully, this is close enough to making a feature film that I was satiated afterwards. Now, I have a better understanding of what goes into a movie.
So, what are some of those things that you didn't know before that you know now? Like you're saying, things that go into making a movie.
Oh, how little a director is needed for actual rolling the camera. like I said, when it came to directing, it was short. It was short and sweet. And it was a lot of me just sitting there and watching people work.
So you had a DP or camera operator,
Well, I was the DP. I had a camera assistant that helped me, do the shots. He helped me with the lights. He was very awesome though. He helped me craft some of the shots, and he had some ideas on shots. So I would say, if it wasn't for him, my shots would suck.
Yeah.
What else? I had either me, him, or Doug Sackman, ran audio, or sometimes a PA. I had on the set. Sometimes I had up to 3 PAs.
What did you do for audio?
I used a Zoom H4.
So you had a separate source.
Yes, separate source that was plugged into a Sennheiser shotgun mic, and I just I put that on a boom pole, and instead of having a boom operator, I just put a boom holder on my C stand.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my mechanical boom operator.
So you probably didn't have too many long dolly shots or complicated stuff that you needed to track with that, so it worked out pretty good.
No, absolutely. I would say I've worked with a boom operator in the past. I worked with a good one and a bad one, and it's very hard to get a good one without putting up a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the best thing that you could do is either set up the boom on some equipment, or get somebody that, if you have to have traveling shots, find some way to get that audio some other way, like ADR. Or if you feel like being a gearhead, get a Zeppelin, which is kind of like a boom that you hold in your hand like a pistol,
mm-hmm.
and just have them point to the actors offset, off frame if you need those motion shots. Or lavaliers. I say just ADR.
And you liked what came out of that Zoom?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it was too much, though.
Too much?
Because we shot on a location that was, while it was a closed set, it was in a building that had other things going on. And
so it picked up too much, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I did not have the equipment to kind of adjust the input to isolate actor's voice. So a lot of that stuff kind of leaked in. So what I had to do was mix the Zoom audio with on-camera audio, and kind of fudge out stuff that I didn't need in there.
Yeah, I think Zoom stuff is great. I have the old little H2 that I've been using forever.
And I got the H2 as well.
And then for the Icelandic chorus for Heartstring Marionette, that was recorded using an H4 with a little blue baby bottle mic, but I know that it was recorded onto an H4 too. So yeah, I think they're really good stuff. If you're looking for getting one of them,
I would say anyone that wants to record audio, if you want to record audio that if you just need essentially a mic, get an H2. If you want something to record audio portably,
and it's multi-track,
external microphone, you need an H4 just because of the input has phantom power.
Yeah.
And some of the booms, I need that. So I bought my H4 specifically for this project.
Yeah, because the thing to remember, like I wrote a post about it not too long ago about mics and stuff, but it's like having a sound card and a mic all in one. Mm-hmm. So otherwise you'd have to bring a laptop out there with the sound card plugged in to provide phantom power and stuff, so you don't need, then that would be more sound of your computer. So it's quieter, it's smaller, it's more portable.
And the one thing I would stress to anyone that's shooting video is have 2 ways to rip whatever you recorded onto 2 separate sources.
You mean like the SD cards copying the footage?
Well, yeah, like what we had my laptop and a separate computer that after an SD card was put full, went to my computer, ripped the video, went to the other computer, ripped the video. Now we have it in 2 sources in case one of us didn't rip it, or in case one of the computers, something happens to them. Mm-hmm. So that was really hard to kind of keep up. We had to have like 2 separate card cases and a rule that like if something was facing one way, it was ripped. If it was facing the other, it needs to be ripped.
So ideally, would you want a person just to do that?
Yeah, most definitely. You would probably want... you would probably have a PA do that. I don't think there's any other job that really...
Not yet.
No.
So, yeah, back in the video days, I came from video, so we just had tapes. So you didn't have to worry about it because you had your tape, but there's no tapes with those things.
Well, you didn't have to worry about that, but you had to worry about, like, keeping all the tapes in a location that you can find, making sure that they are well documented, that they're labeled correctly. Like, whoever that would do that job, I would assume a camera assistant or some kind of camera assistant would be doing that job.
Yeah. So let's try to do something to get Jimmy back from the dead.
Uh-oh.
So what do you think about all this stuff, Jimmy? I know you have like a T2i or some one of those digital SLRs, right? Have you shot anything with it?
I shot little things here and there. The main thing I don't like about that one is you can't, when you do it on video mode, you can't look through the eyepiece to shoot. You have to look at just the little screen. There's no way to switch it. And that kind of bothers me because it's hard to see what's in focus on that little screen. But I've only used it for a handful of things. I've been taking my own pictures of like textures and stuff with it, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I read, that people were having focus issues, but I think it's like what you said, James, are using like manual lenses where they don't have any autos, which I think even the more expensive lenses have auto, so maybe there's some other reason why they were putting matte
I just have
on
stock
them.
lens.
Yeah, like I think primes are a lot cheaper, so I think a lot of people have primes. Either that or they have a camera that can't, like they buy lenses that don't work with that specific camera, like you need an adapter for, which destroys all the auto shit.
Do you remember that before the digital SLRs came out, there are all these like things they sold so you can put digital SLR lenses on like your video camera? Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, I tried to build one.
Yeah, those were like a thing for a while, and then they just, now these cameras shoot video, so totally appreciate that they shoot it raw now, or right out of the camera, I mean.
Hey Jimmy, do you have thoughts about doing live action stuff in the future? Now that animation,
I'd like to. It's just I never have the resources for it or the money. I don't have, I'd love to do live action stuff, but every time I do it, I end up like the forever alone director, and I just end up taking on too many jobs. It just gets overwhelming.
Are you just as confused as I was whenever I saw people say, "Oh, I did this movie for $300." It's like, I have $300. Well, why can't I do a movie?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think the thing is, those people have a shitload of people that just I'll do anything you say at any time, or something.
They just have resources, is what it is. Like just volunteers and people who do this and that. It's like I don't really have any of that. And living in the middle of nowhere doesn't help either.
No, you need to get the fuck out of nowhere.
I really do. I really, really do, James. I've been saying it for years. Like the second I get money, I would just run so fucking far away that I wouldn't even know where to go. But
I did it without money. I went to, I moved to Hollywood when I didn't have a job out there. I couch surfed on people's couches that didn't even know me.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't be able to do that though.
What?
I got too much crap I'd have to lug around too.
Yeah, but you could be look at me, I'm fucking Screamer Claus. You put your bloody fucking bag on your head and wave your dick at them.
Get off my couch! You're messing it up. Get the fuck out of my house with your dripping corn syrup bullshit.
And that's when I met James in real life in Los Angeles.
Whoa!
Oh, I still cringe whenever I think about when I met you. I'm not, because you had a bunch of cool people around you. I was like, hey, I did your poster, and I'm gonna go over here and play Mario Kart.
You did it in that Simpsons kid voice, right? You're like, hey, Mister, I'm not.
M. Dot and his entourage.
Yeah, and he's like, you, my entourage, I'm gonna go have pie. And it's like, I'm not
sure, kid, I'll sign your poster. Get the fuck out of my face. I got a dinner to get to.
No, it was more oh, you did my poster? Here's a shirt. Wait, we don't have it in your size.
Oh. Because we had one. Hey, but for the record, I don't even have any of my own shirts, so. But I think, so for you, Jimmy, it's cheaper to keep doing animation than it is for live action, or is it just the time? What is it?
In theory, yeah, it's cheaper. It's definitely not the time, because it takes way more time to do this animation shit than live action. But it's more because I can grab this a little piece at a time. I can edit a scene in a week, and then I can not do anything for a while. And if I want to do it that way, I don't have to gather everyone up. So when I have chunks of money where I can afford to run all the render computers at one time, I don't need to rely on anyone else to come and is the camera guy free? Is this guy free?
I guess I think a lot of it comes to, too, is how important the aesthetics are. Mm-hmm. Because obviously with animation, you control everything. In live action, it's you get an actor, they kind of look like the person I wanted, but they're not exactly. And if that exactly matters a lot to you, then, that's a lot of the reason why I do animations, because it's very particular. But
yeah, plus the scripts are mine wouldn't really work live action. It'd be too expensive or too crazy.
So it's about what I'm trying to do is do stuff that's less about the way it looks and just trying to focus more on the story and the character development. So I think I wrote a couple live action scripts just for fun, and I'm trying to shift over to that to see what it would be like.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I want to try it too.
How is it, James? How is it? Was it amazing?
Oh wait, you're talking.
What's it like in the real world, James?
He's like, it was so cash.
Shit, I had to half see the whole time.
He's like, shit was so cash, live action, you animators are losers.
Did you start walking up to the actors and just posing them and no?
Fucking, I got PAs that gave me coffee.
Damn.
Jeez, James.
Damn.
I'm like fucking Catherine Bigelow.
Damn, so you started your career by blowing James Cameron? Oh no.
Fucking.
Whoa!
I blew James Cameron, and fucking other guys came out.
You gotta fucking blow somebody, I guess. So why not James Cameron?
I was gonna make a Harlan Ellison joke, but I kind of lost.
Film geekiness.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you've been doing over there, James.
So I'm looking forward to showing you.
So where did you shoot it? What city did you shoot it in? In New Jersey?
I shot it in Philadelphia. Actually, I shot it in the part of Philadelphia where people get killed.
Because it was the cheapest.
There's a lot of those.
Oh, I got one of the better ones. Though every time I left the set at 3 o'clock in the morning, there was someone standing on every street corner, just staring.
Yeah, one of those places.
Oh, it was wonderful. I almost feel like I was hearing, that thing from Friday the 13th with but it sounded more like Bill Whitey.
Really? Wow.
That was awesome.
So they were slanging or banging or selling something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you came out alive, James.
Yeah, I'm not. wish I died that someone took the footage and they made my project and it was like, that was the last project.
The last?
Yeah.
No. The first of many. Like that. So, hey, Jimmy James, we're going to talk about animation.
If you want.
Oh man, I made it awkward again. Me and my animation obsession.
I know, man. I know. We need to have a certain percent of animation. We have a couple questions.
I've been trying to do animation. Maybe I could be part of this conversation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
So where's your on and off? What is it? Is it a love affair? Is it a romance, James, with animation? What is it?
It's trying to find some way to animate that requires less work than I put into it. Like I want. Do you remember the Nickelodeon animation studio for the computer?
No.
There was like this 3D Nickelodeon animation studio, and you would essentially just pick your actors. You would tell them to move on this set, and you tell them what to say. I'm looking for that for the new millennia.
That's pretty much Source, isn't it?
No. Oh, fuck. I tried doing Source.
What happened?
Well, I tried playing with Source Filmmaker, and that shit, like, while the tools are there for animation, the tools are not there to put your original shit in it.
Oh, really? That's what I was thinking about. Why you have to, like, re-rig them and everything, or what?
Yeah, you have to rig them in a specific way. I'm pretty sure a Cactus Dance rigs will not work with it at all. You have to. It doesn't accept OBJ. It accepts a file format that you actually have to couple with a file that tells Source where all the materials and normal maps are, and how to render that model. And it's fucking retarded.
So it's really just to like use our game engine and use our game characters. The fucking what's that game? Team Fortress, whatever.
Yeah, it's more like they have a Source store where it's like, all right, you don't like this model, so you can buy this model, or you can buy this model, or people can sell their models, but they have to go through that whole shit, song and dance to get their model into the program and then sell it.
So say you have a stock model, can you alter it? Can you add to it?
Not really.
No,
you can move the polygons around, but like it's more like you're moving them for animation and not to
because why can't they do what they do in stuff like like Mass Effect and all those games where they just have like the face generator thing where you just adjust the nose and adjust the eyes, so you are kind of making your own character, just building on top of it, like I do with Poser.
That's because Mass Effect wasn't done in Source. That's why.
I mean, it's still the same kind of video game engine, Why can't they just put in some sort of face generator?
It's not the same engine at all. It would involve them to recode something for their rendering engine.
So what they pretty much did is just took their in-house tool and just released it. So it's meant to work with their stuff and the games they already made.
Pretty much. Although you could make some really interesting short films with there's people that release models online that are fully nude. So like Jimmy, you would be able to use Source.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Like you could have like naked zombies, fucking each other in Source, but you can't have your own shit.
But you can't make their face look original.
No.
So
they are not individuals.
So maybe it's a good tool for practice or to do previs. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I would say it's a good tool. Period. Just because if you're doing an animation with someone else's models from a popular video game, you already have that audience that are willing to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Because that dude who did my Mutwa video in Source, his has like 100,000 something views on it. Mine only has 30,000.
Yeah.
So
the only thing is you don't own rights over it, so you can't sell it. But in the new marketplace where you put ads on your YouTube videos, you can still monetize it.
So how do you do? I mean, when I was messing with it, that way I was doing animation, I was just playing the game and recording my takes by like running around and jumping and shit. But is there a way to do keyframe, or is it all motion capture based?
You could do keyframe. You could do tweens. You could do it by bones. You could do it by polygon, by polygons, like actually like sculpt how their, where their neck should go or whatever.
How did you find those animation tools, the keyframe ones, compared to like Cinema 4D or something?
I didn't go that far just because I was looking at this and I was like, I don't want to play with their fucking models.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was like a good practice tool or something, but for doing keyframe or something.
I would say it's a great practice tool for keyframe because the tutorials I saw made it look like it was very easy to work with. And I would say you have a better chance of getting your shit seen if you use this tool over Cinema 4D. So don't go trying to buy or, my God, pirate Cinema 4D.
Well, it isn't.
Filmmaker, as long as you have Source and when they're games, it's free. So don't even bother getting one of those $1,000 fucking rendering engines. I know you wanted to get sponsored by Cinema 4D, but fuck, I gotta speak truth.
Well, I mean, I'm still using Cinema 4D 11.5, so it's not like I'm all pushing the cutting edge on that shit. I like the old stuff.
Yeah.
I just installed 14.
Did you?
Good.
Yeah. I was watching the new feature videos, and I like their new camera system.
Oh, like the Steadicam kind of thing?
Yeah, they have like a Steadicam thing, and they have a way to set up 3 cameras and animate between them.
Oh,
or multiple cameras, but I just saw the 3 camera setup.
You mean like using the stage?
Well, I mean, instead of cutting to each camera, I mean it makes a animation in between, like a keyframe almost.
Oh,
but just
yeah.
The 3 cameras.
Have you tested it? Because I was reading on the forum, some dudes were having a hard time getting that to work smoothly or something.
No, I was just watching the videos before before the podcast. So.
All right. I'm just they change the interface and the controls, and I go in there and I'm just like, what am I doing? Who am I? And then I just leave.
They completely confused me when they changed the hotkey. Took you to all the sculpting tools, for example, Extrude, and I still don't know what the hotkey is. So I used to be able to hit the key, it branch down to there's Extrude. Now I have to go into edit or sculpt, go into the mesh and shit, extrude, fuck.
Mesh shit, extrude, fuck? Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I was just saying to Jimmy before. I was like, mesh shit, extrude, fuck. And he's like, fuck shit, extrude, ass. I was like, yup.
Bad hole.
Bad hole.
But no matter what tool you're using, it all comes down to us, the user, not the tool. Because if you have the fucking desire to do it and to learn it and to get good at it, you can. It's just about how bad you want it. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, it's just like drugs, man. It doesn't go down to the drug; it goes down to the user.
Yeah, right. So,
well, we have about 3 questions here if we want to try that.
Oh, sure. Are you saying that us just talking isn't working, Jimmy?
Yeah.
What a dick. Okay.
Fucking James is derailing everything as usual.
Okay.
Well, at least I'm not talking about my itchy butthole.
Whoa!
Oh, James. Now I remember why you were banned in 49 states from this podcast.
49 states.
Fucking 69 states.
So what are the questions we had?
Let's see. Have you guys ever looked into video on demand or Netflix or other streaming mediums for your films, since that seems to be most accessible method of having your films viewed?
It's not accessible at all.
I was rejected from all of them. Except Roku, actually. Roku apparently has been showing my movie, but I don't even know what the fuck that is, so I guess that's good.
Well,
Netflix said no, though.
Netflix, they pay you a one-time fee. They license it. So to nobodies like us with one movie will make nothing. They want to, they work with studios who have 500 titles and they license them for $100,000 or something, but I think I had something on Netflix. I don't remember. But it's just not for the hoops you have to go through, and then they have all these requirements. You have to package the files and sign these deals, and of course you have to have legally have everything taken care of with your film, which you probably should anyway, but I don't know about you, Jimmy, but I don't have
no comment.
Yeah, because you're supposed to get, what the fuck is that insurance called? Do you know the name of it, James? I did it for We Are the Strange. It's like
I didn't do it for my production.
It's like this insurance so that if someone buys your film, they know that they're not going to get sued because you got all the rights signed off. Forgot the name of it, but P&A insurance something, I don't know. But so from where I'm looking, it's just way too cumbersome. It costs way too much money to prepare the materials for what you get back, which is not much money.
And plus, it kind of hurts sales in a way because everyone could just get it for free from there then instead of buying it or whatever.
But I'm not pretending I know what to do to make money with films. But from the way I look at it, like I think if you're going to hit, you're going to hit doing something like I tried to do, like sell it through your own site, like on your own, so you keep all the profits. But, you know, obviously having a good marketing fucking campaign or letting people know about it. So video streaming, I mean, I don't see the difference. But the company I use, DPD, the dude said, well, not the dude, but the company, they were putting out that they're working on a pay-per-view feature so you can sell pay-per-view if you want to.
And I, unlike you, MDOT, I don't pretend to know what to do with my movies.
Yeah.
I know what to do with my movies. So, like, what you need to do is just put it on fucking YouTube. And if you get enough videos and you get like enough views, you become a partner, and then you put your ads on that shit. AdSense.
Yeah, if you're getting the views. I mean, that's what all those people are doing. They're making shitloads of money.
Yeah, so fucking, you know, make zombies that all look the same, having sex, put it on YouTube, put fucking AdSense.
But James, what about my art, James? Oh, my spirit, my soul, I can't do that.
Stop hurting his soul, James.
You're hurting me.
Well, if you want to do the art, what you need to do is, like, fucking do it to the song, like, Ring of Fire by Wall of Voodoo. Like, fucking Night Dreams.
Okay. I'll do that. But yeah, it's like, it's there. It's just about capitalize on them and doing it right. It's like, we know how to do it. It's like, okay, sell them yourself, put on YouTube, make money with ads. But, you know, like those big companies like Netflix, they just spent, what, like $100 million, like, financing some TV show. Like, they're not in it for us. They don't give a shit because we don't really have anything for them as a nobody independent they want to work with. People that are already famous or already have audiences, so.
I mean, honestly, like, really, if you go on Netflix, you're really not gonna get the exposure that you would if you had, like, you know, you took it to local theaters, if you took it, you know, did, like, underground screenings. So don't worry about streaming your shit on big fucking names, you know. Get a small-ass projector and project it on the side of your cock and show that to people.
So, all right, then. So project it onto your erect penis. No, on the bottom left. So I have a projector. So what am I supposed to do now?
Project it on the side of your cock.
Okay, and then what?
It'll be like, well, you can make sure your movie is super 35 millimeter.
Okay.
Unless you have a really small dick, then make sure it's like 35 or 16 millimeter. That way, like, you know, you get maximize the surface area of your spud.
Okay, and then what do? I go walk around or something?
Yeah, you got it. Like, duct tape the projector to your hip, so it projects on the side of your dick, and then you walk around with a, like, fucking trench coat, and then you go up to people and say, hey, you want to see a movie? And then regardless of what they say, you know, show them your movie.
Be like, hey, you want to see something? It's my dick. So I could just do that. Yeah.
It's my dick. I'm sorry. Here's a movie to watch with my dick.
How's anyone supposed to understand the story, James?
Yeah.
Well, you could have...
They're not going to know what the fuck's going on.
It doesn't matter. You got their eyeballs, right?
You could... you know what? You could have, like, you know, like short synopsises of what's going on projected on your balls.
Hey, Jimmy.
What about character development?
Jimmy, since I'm the stoner who doesn't get stoned, I'm going to agree with James. Yeah, man, this guy knows what he's talking about, man. Let's do it, man. Just think about how many dicks are out there that don't have shit projecting on them.
They going into dark vaginas and shit, not seeing their way.
It's a gold mine of pee-pee.
Man, you know how many times people show each other their dick? Imagine if your movie was on it.
Shit. I don't ever show other dudes my dick.
I just do it at bathhouses, but you have to there.
I just do it at church.
So, Netflix, VOD, as far as what I understand, there was a dude that was talking to me who owned a distribution company. He was doing VOD, but from what I understand, an individual cannot strike a VOD deal. Maybe you can, but they usually go through like a distributor, so then you have to work with the distributor and blah, blah, blah. Sign away rights, lose percentages, etc., etc. Jimmy Screamer Claus.
Yep, that's happened to me. But they all rejected me, because MVD gave it to Netflix and iTunes and all that stuff, but they said no. Well, iTunes said yes, but then something happened with the encoding, and it's been there for a year and a half now.
I can tell you a story about iTunes. So the company I was working with wanted to put We Are the Strange on iTunes. So they're like, here's iTunes. So to get on iTunes Store, they give you this whole sheet of requirements. Like, it has to be in ProRes format at this frame rate, this resolution. You have to have chapter markers, and you have to have still images for the chapter markers. So you fill out this paper, you give them the file. So I gave them the file, and then I think it was 2 years after they gave them the file, then they rejected it and said, oh, there's bad frames throughout the movie, and sent them this paper that were there's these weird frames. And it said, we don't know if this is an error or if it's artistically was intentional. But it was just the screen flashing, right? So after 2 years and them paying, I think they pay $3,000 or something to submit it. 2 years later, they get it back, and they're like, no, it's rejected because we don't know if this is an error or artistic shit. And it was just artistic shit. And so now they have to go through the process of resubmitting it, which I'm not going to even try to make them pay for that shit. So I'm just like, fuck you, iTunes. So
do a lot of people, you think it'd lead to sales? I mean, do people buy movies off iTunes? I've never done it, but...
Yeah. They do again, but it's about your campaign because, it's just thrown in the back of iTunes. No one knows what the fuck it is. We're not going to be on the front page. So, again, it just comes down to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way I'm doing it, I guess you have to be a little more computer savvy because when people buy it on iTunes, it goes into their iTunes. They just double-click it if they're using Apple TV. The way I'm selling it, you get a download. You have to put it in your iTunes or wherever you want, which is not that hard, but fuck iTunes.
I just downloaded the new one and I hate it.
Yeah, I'm a geek, so I read about it first and I didn't get it. So, but yeah. So Netflix, VOD. I mean, and I just hate fucking TVs. I haven't watched TV forever. I don't want a TV. I don't want anything to do with TV. And VOD plays on a TV. So fuck TVs.
Yeah.
Fuck a TV.
Fuck all that shit.
James, can we fuck TVs with the projected on penises?
Oh, fuck, yeah. Let me record that shit and project it on my penis.
Damn. So,
man, you're going to project your penis onto your penis?
It's not gay, though.
Project your penises onto my penis, and then I'm going to sword fight with you.
Hey, it's not gay, though, right? No. I don't think so. Do we have some more questions, Jimmy, that are in line with that that we can talk about projection?
There's one about animation, don't worry.
Oh, yes. Fuck yeah. I got this one in the bag.
As a beginner to Cinema 4D, I've realized there are many different areas to sink a lot of time into. It can be hard to tell what skills or tools are the most urgent or essential in order to make primitive shorts or stories. So, in your mega ultra professional opinions, what are the most important plugins, skills, and tools for beginners to invest time in learning? For example, modeling, rigging, lighting, poser, ZBrush, After Effects, Photoshop, etc.
I'd say none of that shit. No, I mean, really, if you want to make an animated short with any 3D engine out there, be it Blender or Cinema 4D or whatever, you can start right away with the primitives that, come with it. So you just go create shape or press on the shape button, and then just finding out how you can keyframe them and then animating them by themselves. Right there, you have a good foundation on how to make animated films from 3D. From there, you can go any way that you want, whether it be if you want, instead of primitives, you use actual shapes that you've modeled, or you learn about how to make more likable animation, or you learn about lighting, or how to render it better. I mean, I'm sure you could get a award-winning short with animating just squares if you figure out how to render it in some way that no one else has.
How about this? How about we look at it like a game, like it's an RPG, and we have these different categories. We have modeling, animation, lighting, rendering, and then texturing, and then fancy shit, right? And we have like what? You just started learning, and you have like 20 points to spend on any of those categories. How do you stack that, James? What are you going to put what are you going to balance? How are you going to create your animated filmmaker guy? Where are you going to put his points at?
I'd put him down straight down a row in the same configuration. I think that like
a little everything.
I think just knowing how to do animations with your tool is enough to get started with and enough to pursue. Like learn about the tool over everything.
Yeah, I guess what you were saying too is like learn the process, right?
You learn how to make those animations like a little bit quicker by like learning the hotkeys or learning all the shit that you need for the program to work faster. I think that's probably the only thing I would. If that was a character trait for Ask Bob the RPG character, like I would load it up on that and then make sure that I have saves for acid, so I get like half damage. If there's an acid attack.
Hey man, I'm confused.
So the 3D program spits acid, bro.
So I would say I would do a little bit of all of them. So like, you don't want to go too far modeling. Get like, how do I fucking NURBS model or do this crazy shit? You don't want to. I mean, the thing about modeling and sculpting, because sculpting's pretty new. And I would say get like a free program like Sculptor Iris, or I mean, if you already have ZBrush or something. But don't get too caught up into like the super high fucking detailed models, complicated models you see showcased. Just like, if you need a head, you can use a sphere instead of a 4D, a primitive, like James said. Or you can make a sphere in ZBrush and sculpt a little bit. But I don't think you should get, because in 3D there's a lot of talk about specialists versus generalists. And I think if you're going to be a filmmaker, dude, you need to be a generalist. So I would just kind of put 2 points on each category. Learn a little bit of modeling, like making primitives, maybe just modifying the primitives using their controls or extruding them a little bit about texturing, like how do I put a texture on a model, how do I keyframe animate, how do I move a camera, how do I add a light, how do I add a shadow, how do I render it out, I would just stack, like go across all of them. But don't ignore any of those areas. But as far as dynamics go and like the fancy shit, save that for later. I wouldn't even think about that at all. I would just focus on basic modeling, lighting, like just how to add lights and change colors, not like super advanced lighting theory. How to render out a shot, how to animate, how to add textures, and just from that you can do a lot. So I would just say forget the fancy shit like dynamics and liquids and all that stuff. And just do those basics, which, like James said, you can use any 3D program and do that stuff. Learn the basics.
And Don, how dare you make an RPG character like my RPG character? God damn it, Jimmy! You're gonna have to put all your stats into magic. We need a fucking spellcaster.
Mine's gonna be the evil rogue guy that lives in the mountains and just thwarts everyone else's RPG characters.
Yeah, what would you do, Jimmy?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question. I mean, I think it's good just to start off by kind of like you guys said, just one thing at a time. Just, focus on getting the story done and then just figure out one at a time what you need. Then when you need liquids, just figure out how to do them and what liquid program is best for you and just add it one thing at a time.
Because I think the thing that...
Stack shit on top.
I think the thing that fucks with you is like when
It's like you level up and then you upgrade. There's your RPG reference.
The first 3D program I saw was Maya, and I saw a dude demo it. And then I went home and downloaded the demo, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I don't know if you guys ever used Maya, but it has like 4 different modes, and each mode has like way more menus, more icons, and I was just like, I didn't know what to focus on. So I think that's what this dude is saying, like, what do I focus on? And I'm saying just focus on those basic things. Forget all the fancy buttons, forget the deformers and like particles. Don't even pay attention to that, and just do those core things that are in every program.
And make sure you have a fucking spellcaster.
Oh, okay. That spellcasting would be dynamics, right? That would be like the dynamic simulation visual, like effects dude. Simulations, yeah, he would be the spellcaster. Like, I set up the scene now. I had some magic. Or particles. Yeah, magic's particles. Do we have more questions, Jimmy?
One more. It's kind of a broad question, but would you guys mind talking about how you approach the music of your films?
Go for it, Jimmy.
Well, mine, I just try to make scary noise. So that's about it. Just scary, loud noise and lots of screaming. And then, every now and then a nice little piano is nice.
But how do you make it? Do you get it? What do you do? When do you make it, or when do you get it? I
usually make it as I'm editing it. Like I usually make my own music for the most part, or I get some from friends, like other electronic musicians and stuff like that. But yeah, I just make it in FL Studio, just with mostly just sample based, taking different samples and piling effects on them and recording my own stuff. And yeah, that's how I approach it. So noise.
How are you approaching music, James?
Fucking find a drum machine that does samples, or get a monotron. What? You know what? What?
He's gonna say something about dicks again. All right, so let me take this.
Fucking you play a dick like an ocarina, and like you fucking no. Like what I've been doing recently has been doing stuff at really low tempo, so that I can kind of build more of a soundscape or something that has like a smaller tune. I've also been doing a lot of just messing up sounds with like. What the hell is that program? Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cool little tools out there that gets you really fucked up sounds. I would say don't get in a habit of collecting them. Just get like 2 and try to make a song out of those 2 things. So yeah, and also like if you have toys make the most awesome sounds. I have a lot of musical toys. Like this, I have this music toy. This musical toy is the best. Hold on. Yes.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
So yeah.
All right. So the way I approach it is with We Are the Strange. I pretty much took all the songs I had ever made. And then when the movie was done, I just I changed them, remixed them to fit that movie. And then a Heartstring Marionette, I had a composer, and then I made a whole soundtrack. And the way I did that one is if that was after, I just made songs after that I thought matched. And so I did some live stuff with Ableton and my MIDI controllers. But on the newest movie, I Am Nightmare, I'm making the music before the movie. So the whole soundtrack's pretty much done already. And the way I did this one is that I use this technique where I play a metronome in Reason, and then I record myself humming tunes, like with an audio recorder, like dun 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 dun. And then I use this program called Melodyne, and I convert my audio to MIDI, and then I import that MIDI into Reason, and I use it to play like orchestral instruments or whatever I want. And then I layer it, then I listen to that, and then I sing something else on top, and then after I get like 5 or 6 instruments playing like complex shit that I cannot play with my hands, and it makes like some pretty epic dope stuff. So that's what I'm doing with this movie. So this one I'm doing it ahead of time like that.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yep.
In regards to music. Sometimes whenever I have, a workspace like, live, or I have Fruity Loops or whatever, I have a beat in my head, I have a melody in my head, but sometimes I can't find the right tempo to actually match that melody, or I have a hard time kind of like for example, I played with Melodyne and I tried singing something, but then I had a hard time getting that into like a program like live at the right tempo that I wanted.
Did you record it while listening to a metronome? Because that's what I do. I play a metronome while I'm singing it. So I have the headphones half on, so I hear the metronome and I'm singing along to the metronome, and then that's what the song's set at when I bring it in, so it all matches up.
Well, yeah, but some of us don't. Our songs don't match metronomes.
Well, it's kind of that thing. You have to. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to make it easier, you kind of have to. Working with computers, because I know my composer friend Endika, he's wrestled with that a lot too. Is that he doesn't create stuff on a traditional metronome. And then if you have those musical ideas, it makes it really hard to work with computers because they want that metronome. So I don't really know, other than he uses Logic, and Logic allows, I don't know if Live allows you to do it, but you can have like a breathing metronome. So your metronome can be like, so you like train it. So I think what he was doing was tapping in the metronome, like, you know, like a tap tempo ahead of time and then doing the music on top of it. But that's like too crazy for me. So I'm just Mr. Metronome. Oh,
well, like, I guess you could match that in live if you recorded a song with just the metronome and did the tapping to the whatever tempo you needed that was breathing.
Yeah.
Record that, and then when you need to record the stuff in with Melodyne, or if you're like drawing it into the program, then you would have that kind of very tempo that you would need.
Yeah, and here's another idea, too, is that, you know, when you use Melodyne, it has 3 different algorithms. It has melodic, polyphonic, and percussion. So you could even just not even use a metronome, but just tap something with your hand and then use their percussion algorithm and then use that. It would turn into like a drum, doom, 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 whatever, and then you can bring that into live and use that as your metronome to do the other stuff.
M-Dot, I think we just solved all the problems of the universe.
Oh, my God. So I gotta project on my penis and walk around.
Yeah, you got the metronome. You gotta project on your penis, and you need tickets coming out of your butthole.
I'm not into that. I don't know, man. That makes me uncomfortable.
He's not into the butthole, bro.
No, get away from it. Get away from me. So James, on your project, so it's untitled, or it has a title, but you cannot disclose the title at this time. But, so you're editing it. That's what you're doing. So, you know, before we end the show, we should let people know what we're doing right now. So if they have questions about it for another show, they can ask us.
Well, I am editing my project. It also, I'm doing some color timing and effects to the project to make sure, like, to make it go from looking like a DSLR to something else. And I am trying to find a new tool to animate with. I've been playing a little bit with Toon Boom Animate, and I've been toying around with a few things on the Android devices. But yeah, just toying around with, you know, new stuff to animate with. If anyone had like any suggestions that listened to the podcast, that one guy that listened to the podcast, what should I animate with?
Hey man, there's fucking two, alright? Are you doing 2D? Like with Toon Boom anime? Is that 2D or cutout, or what is it?
That's 2D. Well, kind of. It's more like After Effects, where you can have 3D planes.
Okay, 2.5D.
Yeah. I'm just looking for anything that, you know, we could do animations with. I was actually looking at Unity for a while, and I'm really liking it.
You know what's cool is the fucking looping stuff on Unity. That's what I really liked, because it automatically makes all your animations loop.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. I was like, wow, they should have this in Cinema 4D.
Yeah, I really like. Yeah, I'm trying to think about how I would do a project with Unity. I'm not one for making a game engine or making a game that's fun, but I am thinking about maybe doing something that's more interactive.
Yeah, and I did some tests, too, between Cinema 4D with the Cactus Dan rigs and Unity, and you can bring them in. Like, they work perfectly, like the rigs and everything. You just have to bake all the keyframes, and there's this little tool, Record PSR, and you just play your timeline with this little plugin, and then you export it, and then it works perfectly in Unity.
Yeah.
But, so that's what James would be doing. What about you, Jimmy? What are you doing?
I am working on that music video for that horrorcore rapper, Grim the Rapist, and I'm also working on the movie still, When Blackbirds Fly, but I'm thinking of jumping ahead a little bit for a scene, to animate a scene that I want to use as like a teaser trailer, like a scene right out of the movie, so be jumping ahead like 15 pages or so, but whatever. So that's probably what I'm going to do now.
Tight. And you have what? How much? You already have some finished footage for that new movie, right?
I got like 20 minutes or so, but like some of it still needs to be re-rendered. Like at least 35% of it needs to be re-rendered.
Damn, re-renders suck.
Yeah, but I'm just putting it off for now. Like, I have something that I could just edit with, and then I can always, re-render and replace the shot later.
Yeah. And I just started. I did the first shot for I Am Nightmare actually this week, and I'm still waiting on the voice actors. I should get that in the next couple weeks. So I'm just animating shots that don't have any dialogue. But so I started production on that, and I've just been working on that and making music for it. So that's what I'm doing. So if anybody has any questions about any of our projects or anything else, if we still have any listeners after the Facebook apocalypse, drive-by death shootings, holler at us.
12 likes.
Because we like answering your questions, gives us something to talk about besides penis. So if you have questions or comments or whatever, holler at us on that Facebook or on my blog, m.strange.com, or on James's sites or Jimmy's or whatever. And what do you say, James? You going to be a regular back on the podcast again, or what?
Oh, as long as you slackers let me podcast in the daytime. Motherfuckers, you record at like 4 a.m. Some of us have a job.
Shut up, man.
Bro.
I have a job too. I just don't get paid for it, and it's not called a job, okay? But what I'm doing in this basement is legitimate.
I have a disability that they pay me for.
Social anxiety disorder.
If only my life were that simple.
So, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to James and Jimmy for being on the show. Do you guys have any parting thoughts?
From the world or the podcast?
Either.
This is my suicide note you're asking me for?
Yeah. Why, Jimmy? Why?
I got one yet. I gotta think it over. I gotta think some shit over, bro.
Okay, he's not ready. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been another Forever Alone Filmmaking podcast. So go out there and make your motherfucking movies by any means necessary, motherfuckers. And bye.
Bye. What?
You're supposed to say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Forever Alone Filmmaking podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please ask them wherever this shite is posted. Subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or tell a friend, if you have any. But if you don't, it ain't no thing, wanker. Make your movies anyway. It isn't easy, but somebody has to do it. Because Hollywood fucking sucks.